Hello and welcome to the show. For today's rally car build, I'm going to be taking one of the most requested cars down our incredibly fast and rather scary rally stage, and that would be the BMW Isetta. And what could possibly go wrong with this? I'm not sure this is ever going to get to the top of S1 class. I'm hoping it will actually get into S1 class. If not, we'll just run it with as many parts as high PI as we can get on the vehicle. Of course, the big concern is control. It's not really going to have very much in the way of grip or stability or any of that, basically. It's going to be light, but it is not going to be, I think, particularly nice to drive. Well, we are going to have all the handling bits we could possibly imagine on here. That is going to be absolutely essential. Engine-wise, I'll actually have a look in a second, so we are going to need it all-wheel drive, of course. Engine-wise, okay. So we only have the standard engine and the motorbike engine. Unfortunately, we don't get any other crazy options. We don't get the rotary. Was it rotary engine you could put in this? In Forza 6, I think it was rotary, among other bits and pieces. So that's a little bit of a shame. A little bit of a shame that we can't get the we can't get anything. Well, I don't think too crazy. I'm not sure how much power we're going to get out of the bike engine. It will be a fair amount though. Let's not forget, it's still going to be fairly powerful, this vehicle. I mean, the power to weight ratio is going to be immense. That's not really the concern. The concern is, of course, bubble car falling over. Now, I do believe that it is considerably more stable on Horizon 3 than it was on Forza 6, which should give me a little bit more of a chance of keeping it all pointing in the right direction. Oh, bloody hell. We're not going to be getting a huge amount of power out of this then, apparently. That's a little bit of a shame. I think, yeah, I would like to press a little bit more in the way of options in terms of what you could do with the Isetta, because that is literally it. It's just towards the top of A class, and yeah, there's not the standard engine doesn't get more than 50, 60 horsepower, probably at best. So we've got to go for the motorbike engine. I mean, 300 horsepower on a bike is pretty pretty high amount of power, and you know, let's face it, 300 horsepower in something as light as this, it's going to be good power to weight ratio, good acceleration. Who knows how we will fare when it comes to the corners? Well, it is off to the reservoir trail with the Isetta. I'm going to get 3 runs through the course to try and go as fast as possible. As far as targets, well, we can forget anywhere near the top of the table. The Audi Quattro S1 that set the benchmarks at a 246.9 down here, the slowest car to have gone down this course. The Mini Cooper is a 240.7. I mean, if it can get even vaguely near them, that would be, I think, a good show. If it can complete the course without falling over, it would probably be a pretty damn good showing. I mean, let's talk about acceleration here. It took 130 miles an hour just before it hits the puddle, which is up there, you know, that's on par with quite a lot. Okay, it's not quite up there with the, with the fastest cars down here. However, you know, it's not up there with the Audi RS2 and so on, but it is up there with some of the mid-table cars. So it's got the acceleration. The issue that we do have, it doesn't really... It can get to 130 quite quickly, but after 130, it then has some issues. And while the handling, it is a little bit more stable than it was on Forza 6, we're now about to go off-roading with it. There are bumps, there is water to drag the car around, and I'm not sure it's going to survive these quite so well. There's going to have to be some caution. No, this is terrifying. This is terrifying. And the little bubble car, it is way too small and light to be doing this. Here we go. We're just about getting the car. There's a tree there. Thankfully, it's a destructible one. We somehow just about made that checkpoint. This is not good. These corners, we're normally at 120 miles an hour. In fact, it's 120. Whoa! We're gone. That water is not pleasant. Water bad. Okay, we can't hit the water in this car. We just can't do it. It is going to spin the vehicle. I was about to say, this corner here, the fastest cars are doing about 125 plus on the way through there. This is not. This is not going to be doing 125. Even if for some miracle we can get it up to that speed, the rear end doesn't have the grip to actually get it through the corners like that. Oh, no, it's picked the front end up as I've gone to put the power down. and there's nothing I can do. We saw a little bit with the Woody doing that, just a small extent with the Woody having the front end go up. But yeah, this is a lot worse. We kind of got. Oh no, that's not going to work. We've got to be very careful in terms of when to get to full power. Oh god, I'm going to get twitchy. If I jump to full throttle, it's got the traction to do it. Because it is all-wheel drive, it has got the traction to get away with jumping to full throttle. But it doesn't have the kind of suspension to deal with 300 horsepower trying to propel the car forward, and it just goes up pointing towards the sky, and then you lose control because the front wheels are no longer touching the ground. So most of the cars, in fact the Audi Quattro was about to cross the finish line right about now as we're spinning around and we're going to play in the water some more. I suspect this is not going to be particularly fun, is it? Oh, this is yeah, this is going, I think, to be bottom of the table. Even with no mistakes, I'm going to have to, I think, be so slow to try and keep it under control that there is no way it's even going to remotely get near anything else. Easy does it down here. This is now towards the fastest jump. What would normally be the fastest jump on the course, 105 miles an hour, is still pretty terrifying in this. It's not quite the 140 that we have been seeing of late. Up to the penultimate corner we go. Turn in and try and not roll the damn car. We're having all sorts of issues. We've had a couple of spins and yeah, it's not been a good run this. There is more time to be had. It's going to have to be found, I think, through caution. Yeah, that is not easy to drive. I will say that much. Well, it is on to the second run with our crazy Isetta. Fingers crossed I can maybe keep it pointing in the forward direction for most of a run. That would be really quite ideal. 130 miles an hour before we turn into this corner. We're not going to keep it pointing in the right. Ooh, we managed to save it somehow. I thought that was a goner. We've got to be really slow on the way into these corners because otherwise the front end just lifts up, and that's no good whatsoever for getting around the corner at any speed. So it's going to be slow into the corners, try and make the most of the acceleration where we can on the way out of them, and that is very much it. And then we just kind of coast, easy does it until we're pointed in a straight line, and then we can unleash the fury of the motorbike engine in here. Now, don't touch that water, because that's going to cause us issues, but because we are going so slow, you can kind of take a little bit of a tighter line through there than you would normally. You've just not got the speed going on. Again here, like the secondary bump on that section has caused a lot of problems for cars. You're not going quick enough in the Isetta for it to be an issue. Bye-bye tree. Thankfully, even though it is tiny and light, the Isetta can still murder quite big trees. So we're going to stick way out wide through the first part. We're not going to do 125 through here. We're going to be doing 85. But at least it was all controlled now as we crest the hill. Yeah, these real big jumps that I thought the Isetta might come undone with on landing are not real big jumps because you're not going fast enough to actually get big airtime. And that works out quite well for me, to be honest. We can accelerate a little bit away down here. It's a nice straight line. Into the water we go. Not much fun through there. Isetta, again, not only has it not got the power to get through the water, I might have it on rally suspension, but it's still not got the greatest ground clearance in the world. So, yeah, not so great through the water. I've had to have a little bit of a lift through there, just again, making sure, and that is really key with this bubble car, make sure it is settled around the corners before you try and go to full throttle. And again, slow it down for this next corner. That was thankful. I thought that was an indestructible tree. We maybe lost a smidge of momentum taking it out, but we got away with that one pretty big time. Now we are really going to want to stay as far away from this water as we can. We are through in a controlled manner here. Oh god, carefully does it the whole way down here. We're sticking out nice and wide, avoiding that water. Well, we made it this far, which is quite good going. Sticking that inside line, I can do that with the bubble car. I'm not going so fast through that section that I have to be really really wary of trying to take that kind of a line. We're again, no, we're barely lifting off the ground down this back section as I am just trying to make sure that everything is still all under control. A little bit of a wheelie towards the penultimate corner. Our final turn on this course. Don't get the car excited. I was too low in the rev range. It was a terrible, terrible exit out of there. However, it is better. Much, much better run that time around. A 3:17.2 from the bubble car. Can I go any quicker, though? That is the question. So there is one final run for the Isetta. I know where I might possibly be able to find a little bit of time. If we can be a bit neater through this first corner, for example, and not nearly crash there, that would generally do the Isetta quite well. We're going to be very, very slow on the way in. Make sure we're not up on our side. Look at that. Lovely and controlled through there. Unfortunately, it is not going to remain lovely and controlled, I suspect, as I'm trying to find speed as and where I can. And that's always asking for trouble in this. I mean, we're probably not that far down. Actually, we're not that far down through that first sector. We're not as far off through there as we are by the time we come to the end of the run. That tarmac bed, it's not too bad on, because we can still make the most of the acceleration. Oh god, please behave yourself, Isetta. Please behave yourself around here. Also got to remember, motorbike engine, very, very high revving engine. If we are too low in the rev range, I did it a couple of times on that previous run, you end up with next to no power. With the likes of the Woody, you can get away with sometimes being in a bit higher gear and get that stability. With this engine and the sort of lack of power that we have, I can't do that. So we've got to be very, very aware of what gear we are in, or should be in at all times, whilst still trying to be thinking about keeping the car on the ground. I've just lost turning through there. I'll take the bounce off the wall. We have actually got away with that, keeping us straight. I don't want to go for a bounce off the wall. The front was picking up and I was just out of steering at that moment in time, and I tried to hit it at such an angle that it wouldn't kind of spin me back round. There's always a risk if you're bouncing off of a wall that it's just going to bounce you back and spin you across the area. We actually kept the speed above 100 miles an hour that time through the water, which is pretty good going. Just trying to be brave on the throttle with this car when I know exactly what it's going to do if you get it wrong is quite terrifying. It's rewarding when things go right in a very different way in this vehicle. It is, yeah, it's an odd sense of accomplishment you get. You're not going to set a world record with this car, that much I know. However, there is quite a sense of accomplishment just for finishing a run pointing in the right direction. I'm hopefully going to be able to finish a second run here pointing in the right direction. Oh, struggling to get the car turned through there. From the lower speeds, it is actually a little bit struggling to get going. I thought it was just me being in a wonky gear out of that final corner. Oh god, the front end is stuck up wiggling in the air, trying to find time, trying to carry more speed perhaps through these places than I was last time out is causing all sorts of issues for the bubble car. And it's very, very hard to tell if I'm doing better this time out. I think I've been quicker in places, but I'm not really sure. I don't really want airtime over here because we're just going to do a front flip if we're not careful. Easy does it. Across there we go. A little bit of airtime from this crazy, crazy car. Don't tip it in with too much speed. That's just asking to roll the damn car and then really bring it down. Second gear out of here, I think, is what we want to be doing. And now we run towards the line. It is, I think, a little bit slower on that run. I think, was it a 316? I think it was a 316 last time out. Yeah. I think I was a little bit quicker in places on that one, and then perhaps I had, in trying to go that bit faster, I got it into trouble in a couple of other spaces. It is quite an easy thing to do, as you can imagine, with this car. As you try and push it, as you try to carry speed, the front end lifts up, and then you've got to suddenly have a huge lift or a big jump on the brakes to try and get everything back under control. However, I did make 2 runs through the rally stage without spinning the car. Yeah, it's not easy to drive down here. It bounces around horribly and really isn't particularly quick. We are some 30 seconds off the bottom of the table. Yes, we are a long way down in PI It's not just the PI though that's the problem with this car. It is just not able to carry quarter speed as you would expect. It could be worse. It could be worse. It could fall over a lot more. And we weren't really taking the big jumps at the normal speeds. We weren't getting as much airtime. There were still some pretty big jumps for it to deal with. And those heavy landings could have been a lot nastier. We didn't really roll the car as such. At any point during this. Spun it a couple of times and the front end lifting up is a bit disconcerting and difficult to deal with. But yeah, all in all, it could have been a bit worse to drive down here. But funnily enough, there is a reason why the Isettas weren't rally cars. However, that is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.